Hello, John.
Senator Klobuchar, welcome virtually to the Fargo City Commission chambers.
There she is.
There we go.
Right.
Excellent.
Glad to have you here. Okay, with that,
Thank
we'll call
you.
the meeting to order. Thank you, everyone. This is a gathering to celebrate quite an accomplishment of our friends from D.C. And to start briefly, I'm not going to take a lot of time because I know that we've got much more important people than I to speak. But when my good friend Senator John Hoeven called me a couple days ago and said, so we have word from Washington, D.C., what do you think the number is? And I said, well, to myself, one of the greatest fears we've had is the fact we know state funding is available, local funding is available, and that our friends in the federal level might not be as readily available as us. So when it comes time to construct the channel, we can get there, but what do we have to convey the water to the channel from our federal partners? So a lot of things going through my head at a very limited moment in time, and I said, well, to myself, much like a montage in a movie where you don't know karate at the beginning of the montage, but by the time the montage is done, you're an 8th degree black belt. That was my 5 seconds of time to myself saying, I can figure out with my team what to do if we don't have the funding that we need. We'll figure it out. We're North Dakotans, Minnesotans. If it's 60 million, 80 million, 100 million, we'll figure it out. I don't know how, but we'll figure it out. And then Senator Hoeven said, Chad, what do you think the number is? And I said, sir, I'm hopeful that it's in excess of 100 million, but I'll take whatever you've got because it's far more than I expect. But I'm ever so hopeful. And he said, we got it all. And I said, we got 180 million. I can't hardly believe it. No, Chad, we got it all. And my response to that was, is there any way they can take it back? Is there a pinky swear amendment that we didn't pinky swear and somehow they can push it back and say, just kidding, sorry. But Senator Hoeven said, well, unless you know something I don't know, which of course I don't, they can't. So what a remarkable thing that our Senate leaders did for us in the North Dakota, Minnesota region. What a remarkable accomplishment. This is revolutionary. This is beyond my expectations. I knew we'd get there, but I didn't figure we'd get there this soon, to the point where we could actually have a dialogue legitimately about having flood protection earlier than we'd hoped. So with that, I'm going to stop. I'm going to say gratitude, thanks. You both have no idea how grateful I am, and I know that the team members here will share that gratitude. With that, Senator Hoeven, thank you very much, sir.
Well, thanks, Chad. Thanks for your leadership on the County Commission. Thanks for your leadership here of the Diversion Authority. Senator Klobuchar, thanks for joining. Sorry about, starting late, but, I did
good.
flying back yesterday. I thought, oh, man, I got a little cough, a little sniffle kind of thing, but I feel fine. But I thought, the first time, and you know how often we get tested. I mean, between you and me, right, are we in the thousands? I mean, we get tested.
Maybe.
I mean, a ton, and you just getting back from Ukraine and everything. Great job. But so I figured, well, I better get tested. So we tried to find the rapid test units, and Shelly Carlson, Mayor Carlson, saved the day. She got a hold of the Public Health at Minnesota Public Health. Amy, you'll be glad to hear. And they came over.
Yes, that's very good. I like across the river.
Yep. And they were great. And so they did the rapid test, but they were having trouble with the rapid test. They couldn't get it open. So who walks in but none other than Surgeon Tim Mahoney, and one of the guys with the Minnesota Health Department he trains people in self-defense. He's law enforcement. He pulls out this knife about this big, like a small sword, and Surgeon Mahoney goes to work and opens the thing up, and we finally get the deal in there, and we get tested, and I'm negative. So, but I would say thanks to Senator Klobuchar, had I tested positive, we would have set up and done this virtually. But it does show up the importance, Amy, of, we do have to get these rapid tests out there so that everybody has them. And, you can just grab one yourself and test because, I can't even tell you how many times I've been tested. I was pretty sure I didn't have anything, but I don't want to walk in here and then find out, obviously, this is the first, and I'm triple vaxxed. So But, the first time you don't test, that's the time you have it. So you just got to be careful. So enough of that. But I do apologize for delaying things. But I do want to so much thank all of you for being here, for all your hard work. And if I could, Senator, before I start here, let me just recognize you and thank you, of course, for all your incredible help. And then thank you, Colonel Jansen, for being here today, Terry Williams with the Corps, also Kevin Wilson, Deputy Director. You already heard from Chad Peterson. Mayor Mahoney, I've already extolled his virtues, and Shelly Carlson, two of our fabulous mayors. And not to be outdone, Bernie Dardis, West Fargo. Thank you, Bernie, and for your incredible leadership in West Fargo and for being such a great part of the team and knowing how important it is to work as a team. Joel Paulson, thank you. Kevin Campbell. I didn't see Pepcorn here. He's on my list, but he's such a little guy, I might have missed him.
A couple guys have missed today, so if they're not at their chairs, they won't be in here today. So.
Yeah, and I know on short notice not everybody could be here. Shannon Fole, thank you for being here. I think Tom Davidson, maybe Roger Olson, but to the whole team, because it's certainly a team effort. And I guess, the key for today is just that. We got the $437 million, so we got it. We've been talking about being the first P3 major public works project in the United States. Public-private partnership, P3. First one in the country, multi-state, $3.2 billion. So up till now, we've been talking about, we're going to be that project. Now we are that project. We got it all. We've got it. We've got everything. Local, state, federal, all the authorizations, all the funding. It's now going to happen. It's not we're working to make it happen. Now it's going to happen. And that's really the discussion for today is, okay, now we're walking forward and we got everything in place. And we started on this over 10 years ago. And I've said this before, but Senator Klobuchar was part of this project when maybe it wasn't cool, like it wasn't cool, when it wasn't cool. And she, through a lot of adroitness, navigated all the things that it took to get to where we are to today. And there's such a litany. But, they say there's that old saying, it takes an act of Congress. Well, actually, no. It took 16 acts of Congress for the federal share. It took nine legislative bills that authorized the project, everything from the New START and the WIFIA application and all these different things. And then it took 7 different appropriations bills. So it actually took 16 acts of Congress to get it done. And there's so many firsts I can't even begin to tell you, including the fact that we paired up a WIFIA loan, a low-interest loan, along with the $3.2 billion in funding, which is the $750 million, which we now have in hand from the federal government, as well as the state's commitment. Kudos to the state. And, of course, the locals and the incredible local leadership from our mayors and Joel, the Diversion Authority, Chad, and everybody else. So it really is it's incredible, and it's fun to see the pictures of this thing being built because it's such a massive, massive project. And the understanding that this really will be the paradigm for the future for core public works projects. There's just no question about that because of the incredible leverage and the fact that with really everybody sharing, we really do this for less money faster. I mean, right now, the schedule is, and we'll talk about it today, but to have this thing done by 27. Pretty good when we're sitting here in 22 for a massive project like this that's going to protect more than 250,000 people, not only in the communities, but in the rural areas. And that's maybe another lesson in this project is how working together, it turned into a project that benefits everybody, whether you're in Cass County, Clay County, North Dakota, Minnesota, whether you're in Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, or whether you're in one of the smaller communities or the rural areas. That is so important because these projects don't get built now very often because you can't get people together. And that's why, again, I referenced Senator Klobuchar. She helped us get people together. You can't do anything until you get people together. And nowadays, not easy. So that's where we are, and it took a lot of work to do it, and it took a fabulous team. And I will say I'd say this about this Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, Cass County, Clay County region all the time, Red River Valley. This is one of the most dynamic areas in the country. And so to be leading the country in this new innovative way of doing things is incredible. But I tell you, that's how this region does things. really remarkable and a true credit to the people here. Okay, Senator Klobuchar,
All
I'm going to
right.
turn it over to you.
Thank you, John. I was thinking, we have faced so many obstacles. We've worked across the aisle, across the river. Now we're working across the technology, and here I am. I actually, John, I got up at 3 a.m. our time to get a flight at 6 a.m.
Not that unusual for you. I know
I know,
your
but,
hours, 4 hours a night. Yep, we've traveled together.
But anyway, I'm here in the Twin Cities, and there weren't any more flights to Fargo, whatever. But here I am, and I am just really, really excited to be part of that. This $437 million. I loved your story, Chad, because I just kept thinking I've done the same thing if I were you. Is it 100 million? Is it whatever? And I think part of this, and the reason through different administrations, Democratic, Republican, we have consistently been able to get this funding step by step by step, is that John and I did this together. And I think that's a major piece of this. And also that bipartisan infrastructure bill that we both supported, I think also is part of the reason, of course, the reason that we're going to be able to complete this this federal funding commitment. And I want to thank the Colonel, I think he's there, from the Army Corps. I can't quite see everyone. Thank you for your incredible work. Of course, Chad, Joe Paulson, Joel, thank you, Joel. I know I saw Shelly out there somewhere. Is Shelly there? Yep. Okay, good. And who was very excited, texted me the day this all came out. And the Mayor Mahoney, thank you, and also Bernie and everyone else there that's gathered. I think the case that John and I were able to make about the flood stage 55 times since 1902 for the Red River. And we know that it's gotten even more difficult. 7 of the top 10 floods occurring during the last 3 decades. And every year they say, or every time it happens, it's the worst flood ever. And then Mother Nature says, hold my beer. And it happens again. And so basically, I think we all know that we had this clock running and that we had to start work on the project, which is what I've so appreciated the people that have stood up for this project. And you think about every dollar that has gone toward repairing the damage, every hour spent on flood relief, every trip to the Fargo Dome and the center in Moorhead to get the sandbags. And we want that to end. And I think that one of the things that I love about this project is how I don't think anyone thought we were able to get it done with all the obstacles in Minnesota. Ironically, I'm seeing Mark Dayton this weekend for something else that, as the former governor, he's been working on with me. And I think, I really appreciated your governor, the North Dakota governor, Governor Bergen's comments about how they really did work it out at the end. And Governor Walz, who I just talked to this morning, told him about this. He's, eager to fund the Minnesota side of this. So this is truly a team effort, and certainly North Dakota stepping up in such a big way, and the city stepping up in such a big way made such a difference. Some of the things that John and I have done recently is we worked really hard to get the Assistant Secretary of the Army for Civil Works confirmed. And as you know, and John worked it on his aisle, and then there was one left on my side of the aisle, and we got it all done. And actually, I think the leaders were quite surprised. We said, we got a guy we can get confirmed tomorrow. And that was part of our goals of getting people in place that were supportive of the project. We also, that we liked and trusted. And we recently went and met with the Director of Office of Management and Budget, who was on maternity leave, and somehow talked her in. And so at some point, John, when you talk about the 16 times and why we got all the money at once instead of spread out over the next 5 years, I think these people are just sick of us, Hovind. I think they're like, could we please have these people stop asking instead of coming back every 3 months to ask us stuff? So whatever we did, your incredible persistence has paid off. And so I also want to thank, of course, Senator Kramer. We just came back from Ukraine together, a really important trip, which We were unified, as I know Senator Hoeven is, and Senator Smith on the issue of Russian aggression. So we had time to talk about this project. And then, of course, Senator Smith has been a longtime supporter, both in her previous job as lieutenant governor and now. So we're really excited about this. And I want to thank you, John. And it's been really an incredible effort, but a lot of fun, honestly. I'm sure no one thought about that at the time. But when you get things done like that, you need true partners. And that's what all of you have been. So thank you.
Right on, Senator Klobuchar. Thank you. And you're right. It's a little bit like selling insurance. You know, they finally just said, okay, we'll agree to provide the money if you'll just go away. But the reality is, you mentioned the Deputy Secretary of Army, Mike Connor. Mike Connor, I mean, you have to understand how this funding came through. So we worked to include in the infrastructure bill $2.5 billion for water projects like this, in addition to what the Corps typically has in its project plan account. And so, you know, we specifically worked, but that funding isn't dedicated. So we got the funding, about $2.5 billion in there, but then it's not allocated to any specific project. So then we had to make sure that we got it allocated to this project. And this is almost, you know, at $437 million, that's almost 20% of the total amount for the country. So that was where first we had to get Corps sign off. Well, that has to work up through the Deputy Secretary or Assistant Secretary for Public Works, Mike Connor, whom, Amy, that we worked to get confirmed, so we have a relationship there. He had to green light this once it came over from General Spellman, who's head of the Corps, who we appreciate very much. Then it had to go to Shalanda Young, who's the OMB director, which Amy referred to. That's where the cavalry came in, right? So Senator Klobuchar and I go up to see the OMB director, and who's there with us but Shelly Carlson and, you know, this great team here. And, of course, they just dazzled her. And so in the end, we made the pitch for the whole thing, but that was a pretty heavy lift. But, again, credit, you know, the teamwork, and then at the end of the day, credit that this is something that is special. The merits of the project. I mean, we got a river that flows north into the ice and snow, very flat topography, floods all the time, multi-state. I mean, you can go on and on and on about the challenges that had to be met here, the complexity of the project, meeting all the environmental requirements, different, you know, perspectives, whether you're upstream, downstream, rural, small town, larger town. So there's so many different variables here. At the end of the day, great teamwork, which we're really emphasizing, but you got to go to the merits of the project. And I think that's something we just can't lose sight of, is the incredible complexity of this project, but the problem solving and the merits that the way this solution has come together and the nature of this comprehensive solution, and that it is truly inclusive, is the reason, of course, we ultimately were able to get here. Okay, I'm going to turn to Colonel Jansen, and then to kind of get things started. And, you know, I think then we'll go right to the mayors. But maybe first, Colonel, any thoughts? Thanks for being here. Thanks for your work. And any thoughts you have?
Well, thank you very much, Senator Hoeven and Senator Klobuchar. And on behalf of Honorable Connor, General Spellman, the Chief of Engineers, and General Holland, the Mississippi Valley Division Commanding General, it's honored to represent the U.S. Army and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers today. It's difficult to put into words the impact of this development. It beyond, I think, what any of us thought was possible or expected, and it's about the best news I've had during my time with the Corps of Engineers. You know, and what does it mean? And, you know, the stress of the uncertainty of funding, and will this project become a reality despite the investment to date and the progress to date and the knife fight of year-to-year funding and making the case for just such an important project, and to understand that that's behind us and the only thing that's in front of us is putting the project in the ground is just an amazing place to be in. We have an integrated schedule with our non-federal partner, and now we know that we can join these together no later than spring of 2027 and protect the people of this region. I just want to give a quick progress update of where we are today and what to expect now with funding in hand. And we've enjoyed tremendous progress, especially this past year. We've met and exceeded all of our construction objectives. As just a quick refresher on the federal portion of the project, it includes the raising of about 5 miles of I-29 out of the 500-year floodplain. It involves construction of about a 20-mile earthen embankment. The purpose of that embankment is to collect and stage floodwaters, and then 3 concrete and steel gated control structures that will help pass those flows in a safe way for downstream areas. The diversion inlet structure is one of those structures. Concrete and steel, we're about 80% complete, and progress is going fantastic. Just to the east of there, the Wild Rice River structure, about 50% complete. That's a larger structure than the diversion inlet structure. We also completed the bypass lane, the two-way traffic bypass for I-29 before winter set in here, which will set the stage for the next construction season. We also initiated construction on the first portion of the southern embankment and are well ahead of schedule. In putting in the bypass lane for I-29, we were able to achieve a huge savings by excavating the future footprint of the largest structure of all, the Red River structure, moving tens of thousands of cubic yards of soil. So that's where we've been, and now where are we headed? So we have, with funding in hand, we have shovel-ready components of this project ready to go, and over the next several months, we'll be awarding contracts for major project features, including the Red River structure, the largest structure of all, and the structure that drives our overall schedule to completion. Also, the vital environmental mitigation features, including the Drain 27 wetland restoration and the Drayton Dam fish passage project. So we're very excited about that, as well as awarding a contract for another reach of the southern embankment, reach SE2A. So that is very much, we very much look forward to that ahead. And with the funding in hand, it presents an opportunity to us to rethink our planning assumptions and approaches to delivery, and absolutely working as aggressively as possible to make sure that we are progressing as efficiently as possible in partnership with our non-federal sponsor. So with that, I just want to say a big thank you again to our elected leaders for your leadership, for putting your political energy and your political capital in the mix for this very important purpose, and having the trust, knowing that in doing so, we are able to deliver for you and the people of this region. And our mission really is unchanged. It's to deliver comprehensive flood protection for this region on time, on budget, and safely. And we've done that to date, and we intend to keep doing that for the next several years.
Very good. Thanks, Colonel. And, looking at how you've had to jury-rig some of those contracts already because you didn't have full funding, realize how important it is for you now to be able to progress full bore, and stay on schedule because you have that funding. So very important. Thanks for your good work. Appreciate it very much. Mayor Mahoney.
Senator, I only see that Klobuchar isn't quite on here today, but I want to go through thanks to both you and all the leadership you've shown on this. I recall when we had the flood of 209, Senator Klobuchar came in and helped us in sandbagging Central.
I remember.
And, there she is. And here she is on a line.
I'm still on.
And our good sheriff brought in people from the jail. And she happened to be on a line where there's a gentleman that got charged under her when she was the attorney. So here we put her in a line of felons trying to do sandbags. I think that motivated her to always say, we better do something different than sandbagging. So she has been very helpful.
Okay, Mayor, remember that joke I told that maybe helped us get the $400 million in front of the OMB director, where I said, when you're at a beach in Florida, how can you tell the people from North Dakota? They're taking all the sand and putting it in bags.
But this has been a
It worked.
great.
She liked it.
This has been a great relationship. The two of you, we have two different parties, and you've worked cooperatively all the way through this. And we got through there, and we asked for money, and people have to understand the breadth of money we finally asked for. And we're chipping. The first time we asked for 50, we got 5. And Senator Hoeven said, Tim, don't lose the faith. We'll do better next year. So we had to sell to the community somehow. 5 was really good. I mean, we could even go a little higher. And it just, they're both exactly right. We just kept coming back for more and more and more, and we got 100 one year. Wow, that was a big deal. But I said to Senator Hoeven, when he told me we got $437 million, I said, you can mark me down as I just fainted, because I've never known the federal government to do anything like that. And for the Corps has been our partner. Ever since the Chief's report, it's been really fun, because this is one time you could tell the Corps was actually really excited about this project. And this is the #1 project of the nation. This is the one project that will show efficiency, time, everything you do. And hold on now, because now the Corps has got an advantage. It's got its full funding, and you got to get her done by 26, not 27. So I think we're going to see great growth, great things happen in that regards. And throughout this, Senator Hoeven brought up the other fact that as a surgeon, I'm kind of impatient sometimes. So thank you, John, for teaching me patience, because whatever I thought could happen tomorrow didn't happen. Mayor Wallaker all the time, we'd say, what is your, what will this happen? Will this happen? He would never say any higher than 60%. So I think, Joel, now we can say 100%, we got this, it's moving forward, and the community should be rest assured we are getting flood protection. And the other thing I wanted to tell the senators and congressional delegation as well, with all their help, they've helped us. Our economic growth in this community is outstanding. And we've talked about this before, Senator, just to what's happening. We had $740 million worth of permits last year, 720 the year before. So there's a lot of people that believe in this community. And flood protection was the #1 item I got asked about all the time when a new corporate structure is coming in. So I got a sense the business community thinks this is coming, this is going to happen. So this is a fantastic day, Senators. I both appreciate all the hard work you've done on this. And Senator Klobuchar helped us with Governor Dayton at one time as well, so that helped us out as well. And it's just amazing what good partnership and good leadership has done for us. So thank you for all the work you've done. Appreciate it. Oh, one thing, John, I need to give you chippers.
Oh, thanks.
As well as Colonel Jansen. And Amy, we're sending you yours, but you weren't here.
Okay.
I'll bring back.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Mayor. And now let's go to the other side of the river. Shelly Carlson, who I must say dazzled OMB director. You obviously guys had great chemistry, and right, Amy? I mean, they hit it off right away. Louisiana,
yeah, she was really,
Minnesota,
really great.
Yeah, that Cajun accent.
It also might have been those photos. Let's not forget the photos you guys brought and the images you conjured up of what happened in Grand Forks and sort of the fires of this. I think it was pretty to the point of what could happen.
Well, not only that, but remember she didn't know like how many people are protected. She said, well, about 250,000. And she goes, whoa. So I think she really did learn some things, and you all did a great job.
Thank you very much, Senators. I really can't thank you enough. It was an incredible experience to meet with both of you and OMB Director Shalonda Young, and to be able to provide some of that background and information. Having come in as the chair, only having been on the diversion board for a year, it was a little daunting. So I think I was maybe the perfect person to be able to really explain in very, very practical terms how important this project was, because I needed to be able to decipher 10 years of work in a very short amount of time. And I appreciated Joel Paulson and John Shockley for sitting down and going through it all with me. And also the rest of the board of directors. I also wanted to say congratulations to Colonel Jansen and Terry Williams. You guys are going to have your work cut out for you, but how exciting and how fun. And I know, Colonel Jansen, you had said that this is a pretty rare circumstance where you have all of the funding and you don't have to be concerned about when the next installment is going to come. How do you plan if you don't know if you have some type of a reliability of your funding source coming in? 2021 was quite the year for the diversion. When I got anointed the chair the chair hat, I guess, in a matter of a second. I was told that there was no fiscal stability for this project. And Chair Peterson, I would like to present you with a fully funded project. So let's see what you can do with that. We were able to secure a $569 million federal Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loan, which we all know as the WIFIA loan, which saved millions of dollars for taxpayers, and is the genius. The genius behind that was Mr. John Shockley, and we actually appointed a day in June called Juneteenth after him because of that. We also achieved financial close of the P3 project, which is a public-private partnership agreement. And North Dakota came through with $435 million. Also, just a recent announcement is Minnesota also contributed another $10 million to our water mitigation, our flood mitigation on the Minnesota side. So we're going to just add that to the already millions of dollars that Minnesota has funded for in-town flood mitigation in Moorhead and also throughout Clay County. It's just fantastic, I think, to be able to start a year and a new chair with having this fully funded, and it's going to be incredible what this project is going to be able to bring to our communities with this permanent and reliable flood protection. And I'm going to send a thank you quick to Shannon Full, because I know that she's going to also have her work cut out, because now that it's funded, we're going full steam ahead, and it's exciting, but it's daunting. But as we've shown with this project, as a multi-state, bipartisan, I don't know how many different governmental entities off the top of my head are even involved in this. We know how to get it done here. So thank you very much. And thank you again, Senator Klobuchar and Senator Hoeven.
Thanks for your,
Thank you,
thanks for your great leadership. And of course that's ongoing. So it's very important, but fantastic. Mayor Dardis.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Klobuchar, Senator Hoeven, thank you so very much for all of your efforts. When the citizens of our great state send people to be our congressional delegations, our hope is that they are as responsible as what you've demonstrated in this effort. Working across the aisle, working across two states, that can't be easy, but due to the type of people that you are, you were successful. And the people in Washington respect you both for those efforts, as do your citizens back in your home states. So we're extremely grateful. The financing of this issue is much like a puzzle. I have a 4-year-old grandson that's just really gotten into puzzles. And I was doing a puzzle with him last weekend, and I got to thinking about how all the things that we've had to do to bring this together was much like the puzzle we were working on. It was a Power Rangers puzzle, so it was kind of an easy one. But if you take a look at what we developed with regard to the state funding, the federal funding, the local funding, all of those elements had to come together and fit together. The work that our legal counsel, Mr. John Shockley, has done with the bonds and the WIFIA loan, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. But we also have to step back a little bit and think back about when the bid was let. The technical people, Jason Benson, Nathan Birnbaum, Dr. Bob Zimmerman, these gentlemen also engaging in that with the Corps of Engineers and evaluating that as to how that will fit into the puzzle to make this as affordable as possible for the funding we had at that time. You know, Colonel Jansen, your team has been amazing to work with, and Terry Williams is in the crowd too. Thank you. A critical point of this was when the Diversion Authority, through the leadership of Mr. Paulson and Shelly, had the North Dakota delegation, the state legislator, come to a tour. That really woke them up. That was the difference, that when guys like Chet Pollard and Rich Wardner and Senator Ron Sorbog, and of course Representative Jim Schmidt, they were able to show that message directly to those people. So that's a credit to everyone that had that foresight to bring them across the state and view that. So as we continue to celebrate today, I'd also ask you to think about, and Tim mentioned it, Dennis Wallaker, Darrell Vaniel, some of these leaders that we had, and I'll tell you what, they had to take a pretty tough road and pretty tough position on how we were going to get there. Because we had no idea how we were going to finance this, but we knew that we weren't going to fail. So we have to remember all those people. And again, that technical staff and all that leadership that's come before us was given us the opportunity to be where we're at today, and now we're the guardians of how that money's going to be spent and how we're going to protect our citizens. I'd also be remiss if over the years, not to mention the chamber. You know, Shannon's sitting at the table with us today, but Tom Dawson stepped up to be our business leader group chairman of that group. I'm proud to say I was chairman of the chamber when we did that. And, you know, it goes on to that whole business community. When we were lobbying the state of North Dakota, there were people providing us with transportation to Bismarck so we could be there in Bismarck to testify for our bill and be home by lunchtime. So we have so many people to thank for all of your efforts. We're very grateful. But Senator Hoeven and Senator Klobuchar, no more. We just can't thank you enough for what you've done. Your relationships on the Hill and back home here and working with everybody is so greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernie. Appreciate it. Let's flip over to Joel Paulson and just Joel, any thoughts in terms of both where we are and where we're going?
Thank you, Senator Hoeven, and thank you again for all the work you do in D.C. for us and for this project as well, Senator Klobuchar. This has just been an amazing experience to be able to secure all of the final federal dollars, and really it was the last remaining large funding piece to the program. So we can now say we're a fully funded program. And I remember when I started with the authority a number of years back, I was on the board and then assumed this position, I thought to myself, why are we building a project without any money? And how are we going to get this done? And as Mr. Dardis, Mayor Dardis had mentioned, it is a puzzle. And every day we get up and we got a plethora of technical folks, legal folks, and we just continue to challenge ourselves to try to figure out solutions to the problem. And that includes working hand in hand with the Corps of Engineers to try to figure out innovative solutions. What we see here with this project is certainly a model for the rest of the nation. And I think the Corps is documenting best management practices, as are we. And we hope to share that with Congress someday. And for the benefit of the rest of the nation. This receipt of $437 million from the federal government is really going to allow the Corps to do what they do best, and that's construct infrastructure. They have processes in place. We have our processes in place through the P3 and the local government side of things. And once we get the resources, we're going to build this thing by 2027, and we will have permanent flood protection for this community, which is so vital. When I think about Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, without this project, we're one of the most at-risk communities in the region, and that that's extremely concerning, considering we have local hospitals, regional educational facilities. When this project is done, we'll be one of the most resilient and sustainable communities in the region. And that's a pretty important thing when you think about it. So these dollars are going to be used efficiently because we got some of the best people in the world working on this project right now. And we're very excited to be able to take these resources, put them into the ground in concrete and in infrastructure, and get this project done as quickly as we can. And I would like to note, Mayor Mahoney, this might be a game changer on your steak dinner bet with Colonel Jansen. Thank you again.
Yeah, that whole dinner bet, I think the Corps just got a leg up here. I don't know. We'll have to hear, from the private side. Shannon Full, on behalf of the business community, any thoughts you have in the chamber? Obviously, getting this built on time is going to be huge in terms of costs for homeowners and for business owners because they won't have to buy flood insurance. And so, when you talk, it's not only huge in terms of, the growth of such a dynamic region, but just think of the savings it means. And not to mention protecting lives and property, but just that flood insurance cost every year, having to pay it.
Yeah. So on behalf of the business community and the local community, again, thank you so much for your great work, both senators, to our local mayors, and obviously the Army Corps, Joel, your leadership, and everyone else that was a part of this. As we look at this project, this past few years, there's been two words that have been used over and over again. One is uncertainty and one is unprecedented. And both of these words completely tie in to this project. So we have a community that was uncertain about any time that we had a flood threat. And now that level of certainty will allow us to continue to lean into the ability to grow this community. But when we talk about, and I was one that said unprecedented was kind of like nails on a chalkboard after a while, right? Because it was said so much. But there's a few words that can describe it as well as this. So when we look at the unprecedented mindset, the nature, the relationships, the way in which all of you worked with one another to make this happen, there really isn't a better way to describe it. So as we look at this from the business community and the economic development side of it, this is a really great day for anybody that loves economic development and lives in this world, right? Because what a project like this is allowing us to do is obviously drive economic impact to our community, but more than that, it allows us to have a really strong global competitiveness that allows us to continue to compete for great businesses, great talent, and have a region that continues to thrive. So as we get into this, we know that there will be significant amounts of jobs. So as we have over 1,000 jobs that are coming into the region, we have the direct jobs, but that indirect and ancillary effect to that is what's going to really move this community forward. So as Shelly's mentioned this, we've got a lot of opportunities and challenges facing us in a very tight labor market. We're going to need to use stories like this to create the regional brand that will make people want to come to this region. But then once they get here, our job is going to be, all of us are going to have to come together to make sure that the employees, the direct employees, but also their families, their spouses are acclimated and welcomed into our community. That's no easy task. And one, because at the end of the day, our goal is to retain as much of that workforce here after the project is done in multiple different ways. And so we've just got a tremendous amount of opportunity ahead of us, but what I want to commend you all for is that the regions that are thriving across the country right now have truly figured out that collaboration happens in action and not just in words. And clearly we've demonstrated that collaboration here. So the Chamber, I know Joe and the Economic Development Corporation, together we stand ready to face the new opportunities of this project and are so blessed and honored to be a partner with all of you. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Shannon. Kevin Wilson, Deputy Director, anything that you want to add before we wrap up here?
Sir, if I could just add a few things. Thank you for the chance to speak, Senator Hovind, Senator Klobuchar. It's great to see you here. Just to give a broader course perspective on this, we've had a number of senior leaders from the Corps. We've had multiple different MVD, Mississippi Valley Division commanders here, multiple chiefs of engineers, most recently General Spellman. Every time I see General Spellman in an environment outside of here, he grabs me and asks me about the project. All of them, what they walk away with is they're very impressed. They're impressed by the project. They're impressed by the project delivery method, the P3. But they're really impressed by the camaraderie of this group, of the communities as have drawn together. And that's West Fargo, Moorhead, it's Clay County, Cass County. They really work well together, and they take on tough challenges. There's been a lot of them, but they always are willing to take on tough challenges, and that's what they see. And at one of the meetings here that we had in the Chamber, I left, and one of those senior leaders looked at me and said, that was really inspirational. So that's commendable about that group, and that's what leads to the success of this project, I think, is that the communities have gone together for this, and so it's a strength here. And I can tell you, you don't see it across the Corps with all the Corps projects all the time like this. So coupled with the local commitment and the congressional delegation. It's really a strong project, so well done. I would like to point out, obviously, we have Terry Williams here. She's kind of the point of this, the tip of a spear of a major group, a project delivery team that works day in and day out to deliver this. You know, we have our team within the St. Paul district. We've gotten personnel, talent from 12 other districts across the core. When you couple that with the diversion authority, the technical capability with the communities and the counties, it's an incredible team, and they work day to day, and it is a very cohesive team, and they need to be commended for their efforts. So, thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm going to turn Amy back to you for some closing comments. I might say a word or two, and then we'll let Chad close it out. But thanks again.
Well, great. I think everything's been said here, but clearly we're really excited. And what's great is we have a plan in place. I don't think people expected to get this much funding this quickly a few months ago, but we have it, and we have the plan in place of how it's going to be spent. We have leaders in both states, both parties on board, and I just can't wait to get this project done. So thank you very much. And I think sometimes I remember when I first started doing this, John was pointing out those times when we had disputes on our side of the river about it, and many of them resolved in a good way for all of the people that were downriver and what was going to happen. And so that was really important to get resolved, and I appreciate the hard work. But I also remember someone at one point saying, well, you know, Fargo's lower than Moorhead, so to me about my support. And I remember saying to them, do you think Moorhead's going to be okay if Fargo goes down? No, it's not. And that's how I think about this whole thing, is that this is a regional approach. We've approached our business and economy that way. Our residents cross over all the time and are married to each other and have kids together. So it's one region, and that's been really important to our success. So thank you very much.
So true. And again, thanks for your great help. And I really didn't think we would be here at this. I believed we'd get this done. I just didn't think it would be done in terms of having all the pieces put together now. And so that's a huge credit. I mean, not just on the federal end, the work that took, but to all the state leaders, you know, Governor Burgum, as Bernie said, our legislators, the legislators from the region, legislative leadership, big thank you to them. And then the locals. I mean, anytime you set out to do something, if you step up and do your part, it sure goes a long way. And when I look at Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, the smaller communities in the region, Cass County, Clay County, you stepped up. And that's the way to do a project. So incredible local leadership to all the mayors, Mayor Mahoney, Mayor Carlson, Mayor Dardis, and the people that came before you as well. So thank you so much. And, of course, to our county commissions in both Cass and Clay, and obviously Chad in his role on the county commission, but now his role as the chairman of the Diversion Authority. And I tell you, Chad, I mean, your beard is probably as good or better than ZZ Top, and I don't say that lightly.
That's what I was thinking, John. I
love it. It's just a great beard. But I still would have to say this: following Shelly Carlson's leadership is not an easy task. But I know you're up to it. So we'll let you close things out. If there is somebody here that still has a question, just grab us afterwards. But take her away, and again, thanks for your leadership, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, thank you, and I couldn't agree more. Taking after our past chair is going to be a tough act to follow. I'm averaging $25 million a day, though, so I'd say that's a pretty good start. That said, I want to touch on one thing that's been alluded to, but to both senators, and obviously our other congressional delegations are incredibly important as well, too, but one thing I want to stress, and the people of North Dakota, Minnesota need to know, is you always had time for us. You are pulled in hundreds of different directions by thousands of different people, and I hope you understand how much I appreciate your time, that when we showed up or we had a phone call, a text, an email, that you were responsive, your teams were responsive, and sometimes when some of your partners in D.C. may not have had time for us, you exercised your due diligence and authority to encourage them to make time for us. And that communication, this is much about relationships. as it is anything else. And that communication that you allowed us access to really got us a lot further down the path than we would have otherwise. So again, gratitude for that and acknowledgement of all the work you and your teams did too. And I just can't be thankful enough. As Senator Hoeven said, after we resolve this, we'll be available for press if they need us. Otherwise, commissioners, mayors, business partners, executives, thank you for your time today. Gratitude to everyone from stem to stern. Out in the audience, we have managers, we have...
Chad, if I could again, and let me also acknowledge again Senator Tina Smith from
yes.
from Amy's side of the river, as well as Senator Kramer and Congressman Armstrong. Great people to work with. We appreciate them so much. I just want to get that in before you go.
Wonderful, Senator. Yeah, it's we have so many people that have done so many things, like I said, from stem to stern, from D.C. to Bismarck to Fargo and beyond, that it's just a remarkable thing we are where we are, and gratitude, thank you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for listening. And if there's anything you need from anyone, just let us know. Thank you much.